I the only one on?
There's a couple more that are working on their video. I don't know if they're going to join video or not. That's completely up to them.
Yeah,
Here we go.
yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
Hey, Ron.
Hello. Hi.
This is Ray, your guest.
Yeah, I see your name, but I don't see your image.
Well, I wasn't going to come up on video.
Oh, okay. You're just going to listen?
Yep.
Okay.
Appreciate the invitation, though.
Okay. Okay. He's hiding behind the scenes.
When you have your name up there, you're not too hidden.
Pardon me?
When your name is up there, you're not too hidden.
Ethan, are we supposed to mute ourselves?
So feel free to go ahead and talk, converse, whatever. You know, we'll get started just a couple minutes after 7.
Okay.
And so
Once it started, should
Once
we
it
mute
starts.
ourselves?
if you will mute yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can mute you if you unmute yourself. So
Oh, okay.
I have that power.
Okay. The Almighty.
You can play us some tunes if you wanted to while we're waiting. As long as we don't have to pay your royalties. Been out
If I
any?
played tunes, you'd all run.
Oh, whatever. Been getting out any?
Not lately. Had a family death just this past.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, so, but we're good.
Tony, you been getting out any?
I think he's muted.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, who's here?
Jerry.
Hold on.
I got
Hello?
out on Labor Day was the last time I got out.
Uh-huh.
We went over to Lake Ida.
Okay. How was that?
It was pretty awesome. I didn't bring my fly rod, but
Yeah.
planned on it. Just packed my
Baked or-
flies,
Yeah.
did all that, and then left my fly rod at home on accident.
That's awful.
But we caught at least 5 peacocks over 3 pounds
Oh,
and a clown knife.
oh,
So that was pretty cool. We've been trying to get over there for a while, so we're gonna
Where-
head back over there soon again.
where is that?
It's just south of West Palm,
Okay.
but it's loaded with peacocks, and it's one of the only places to consistently catch those clown knives.
Okay. Do you have to have a boat or is it shore stuff or what?
Definitely a boat.
Okay. Is kayak accessible?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's a ramp at a park that puts right in there, and then there's all sorts of canals and stuff that run off of it, and
Okay.
it winds back through there. There's tons of canals and stuff.
Okay.
Well, where you put in is like more of the main lake area.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in a kayak, you have a little bit of a paddle,
Yeah.
but it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
And I've seen lots of pictures of guys with fly rods
Mhm.
getting all sorts of cichlids and exotics and stuff,
Okay.
which is what I was going to try to do some, but like I said, I left my rod at home
Yeah.
on accident. We left at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't thinking right.
What was the water level like there?
I've never been there, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But it's because it's a lot of seawall and stuff, so it's hard to tell.
Okay. I did the loop road today, and it was just covered. The water was everywhere, so
Oh yeah.
we're spread out.
The last time I was down there, and that was before a lot of this last rain, I went down to Alligator Alley area, and it was way higher than I'd ever seen it before, and that was a month and a half ago.
Okay. Yeah, it was high for sure today.
Yeah, it's going to be flooded for a while down there.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
I think it's going to be. It'll probably be December before it gets out much.
Yeah.
Because we've just had so much rain all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's going to keep coming at us, I think.
Yeah. I have plans on heading down in January for sure because I have a company coming in. But other than that, I'm going to hold off for a while because it's just.
Yeah. Well, right now,
How are you?
What's that?
right now it's for sure a bust.
Yeah.
I think I got 4 fish all day.
Yeah. Well, when we went down there, we caught a couple fish, but it was not.
No.
You had
Hey
to work-
guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can hear you. Can hear you guys. I don't know if you guys are talking or not.
You'll have to turn your volume up. I'll have to.
He can't hear you telling him to turn his volume up.
No. So I'm just muting him for now until he gets that figured out. Until he starts hearing us. So I expect folks to start trickling in here for about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll get running. Bob, you been out up on the river?
Yeah, I've been out a little bit, but it's been kind of slow. The water's been high, and been doing a little bit of the dark side fishing with shrimp and stuff.
Oh, dear.
Don't tell anybody.
People from Connecticut do that.
But you know what? That's the way you catch a lot of fish.
So what have you caught on shrimp?
Oh, I caught quite a few reds lately.
Yeah.
Not huge, but and some snook. But you know, I'll still throw the flies and catch a couple of those too. So. The bass fishing, you know, I live in a gated community, so it's a private pond, but the bass fishing has been picking up lately too.
Yeah, good.
That's been going on in our community too. There's some, right across the street from me, there's some big bass. If you're too lazy to go anyplace and walk in.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, I can hear you. And I'm glad to see you all. I'm in Salt Lake City now.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So,
Ways off.
I'm doing a little bit of fly fishing at the Pro River, and it's wonderful. It is catch and release, but it's nice trouts. So, yeah. So,
Send us some pictures, Henry.
okay, I will. All right. Uh-huh. I'll be coming back to Florida probably around the 5th of October.
There comes Melanie.
Ray O'Connell, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Hello.
Ray O'Connell, I think you're the first virtual guest.
We're
That's
all
a first.
we're all virtual. None of it really exists.
Oh, how do I turn it down?
Hey, Ethan, real quick,
Yes, sir.
hospital,
That's better.
Oh no. Is it the spleen stuff?
unknown.
Where's he at?
I think Memorial, but he may be out tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, Ken.
Hello. How you doing, Ron?
Oh,
Good.
looks like most of the folks that confirmed are here. There's a couple that hadn't showed up, but we're gonna get going. If I can ask everybody except for our presenters tonight to go ahead and mute themselves if they can, we'll get going with our program. I'd like to welcome everybody to the second monthly virtual MCFF meeting. We appreciate y'all coming out, taking your time out, the long drive. I know it's tough. The board thought that this would be a good thing to do for the club, since we're not able to meet down at the garden club right now. And a lot of us are getting up there, and it's just a little trying times. But tonight's program is going to feature Fly Time by Craig Smothers. Craig's going to show us a little dock-light snook fly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but I think he's been working on this for a little while. You all know Craig. You can reach him at saltflies.com and buy some of these flies. He makes beautiful patterns. Craig's an expert in feathers. If there's anybody in this club that knows his feathers, it's Craig. And he does a real good job. Before I turn it over to Craig, I'd like to ask Ken to say a few words to the club, just to State of the Union as such. Ken, if I can have you come on.
Okay, can you hear me?
You're up. You're good.
Okay, just want to, I'll take only a minute or two. Just want to say hi to everybody. Glad you could make it. And I want to thank Craig and Brian for agreeing to participate tonight. I'm looking forward to your presentations. And I'm just going to throw out one quick thing, and that is the board has been discussing things that we can do to interject some energy, etc., some fun during this very difficult and trying time. And if any of you out there have any ideas that you think would be beneficial for our board to discuss and maybe start, it may very well just be adding a name or two to us as far as possible presenters. It might be anything. Let us know, and we will certainly discuss that at our board meetings and go from there. So one of the things that we did discuss, and
thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if this has already been discussed before I got on, Ethan, but we mentioned that if you have friends out there that are fishing people that would want to get involved in listening to the presenters, we at the board felt that would certainly be a great thing. It might get us a new member or two, and it might just get us some thank yous to give people some additional information regarding fishing. So Ethan may want to add more on to that because he's the person with the technological knowledge. Mine is like at about maybe a 0.2 on a 100 scale. So, let's, talk about that if there is something that we need to do to make that available to people and friends. And on that note, I will say adieu and turn it back over to Ethan.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, I've been bombarding folks with emails and Facebook posts and all that. So if anybody's got any ideas of things we can do to help make your club experience more enjoyable or more fruitful, or give you back something that you feel you're wanting to get from the club, yeah, reach out and we'll for sure do that. Like I said before, Craig is probably the most renowned feather guy I've ever met. I think, Craig, did you go to Cornell and the University of Iowa?
No, University of Minnesota.
Minnesota and Cornell. I think Cornell has the top ornithology program in America. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so Craig really knows his birds, but more than that, he knows his fish and he knows his flies, and he's going to show us a dock-light pattern tonight that I think might have some luck if anybody's willing to get out there and give it a shot. And Craig, I'll turn it over to you.
Listen, I'm not going to actually tie flies tonight.
Okay.
And everything that I'm going to show you, I'm going to post on Facebook along with not pattern sheets, but what components are in them.
Awesome.
Wanted to talk a little bit about the history you know, the local history of dock light snook fishing down here.
And Eric, Craig, can you get him as full screen? I mean, I can get it myself, but you want to make him automatically?
How do I do that?
It's a setting with each individual's computer.
It's speaker view, Al, top right.
Speaker view.
Yeah, I know. I can do it myself, but I didn't think of.
You have to do it yourself. It's not an option Craig can do.
Ah,
okay.
No one can do it except for yourself.
Anyway, as I was saying, probably the first person that I remember hearing about dock lights at night is Rick Grassett. You know, he's been around for a while. At that point, I think he had a daytime job and he was working guiding as a secondary career. But another one of the guys that you don't hear about very much anymore, but is still around, is Roy String, Captain Roy String. He developed a pattern back in the probably late 80s or early 90s that some of you might know by name. It's string bean. String bean is a real simple fly to tie. Here is my version of it anyway. Originally it was tied with, you know, just cactus chenille or Estes. And I think the original pattern had wool rather than Arctic fox that is now being used. But this is just a really simple, you know, what they refer to as a Brooks blonde. All the Brooks blonde patterns are just basically a body, sometimes a tail, not always, and then a wing on top. This is on a size 4. You'll find that is what I use most of the time when I'm fly fishing for snook at night anyway. I've thrown bigger patterns, but the smaller stuff generally does work better. During the late winter time, you might even step down to size 6 or size 8 hook and make the profile quite a bit smaller. This is another one of the blonde series that I tie. This one has got glow in the dark chenille on the body. It's called Afterglow. It's made by, I think it's by Wapsi. This one is just a pretty simple pattern. It's got a couple of strands of glow in the dark flash on top and just regular flash too. And the wing is tied with calftail, white calftail. And if you really want to juice it up, consider getting some of the new Spirit River UV calftail. It's a little bit too expensive to tie commercially with, but if it's for your own box, hell, it doesn't matter. The third pattern I was going to talk about is, this is one of mine. I actually developed this after seeing a picture that Rick Grassett posted on Facebook of an albie that puked up a whole bunch of little tiny bait fish when it got put on the boat. It's just a very small fly. It's a number 6. And the beauty of this particular fly is you can trim it down and make it smaller if you need to, if that is what, you know, prevails in the water. And again, during the wintertime, you'll find that the bait gets really small, you know, almost, you know, like pencil lead sized. And this pattern would be even huge in a size 6. But those are the 3 basic things: white fly, small, and, you know, got a reasonable amount of flash on it. During the winter, again, the snook aren't as active on the surface, and it might help to put just a touch of small lead wire on the hook, on the bottom side, on the hook point side of the hook to, you know, drag it down, because a lot of times they aren't right up on the surface like they are during the summer.
Greg, you've been here a while. When did you see them start doing the submerged, these neon colored lights, the greens and blues and all this? When did they start doing that?
I think that they started doing that when the, well, first it was a fluorescent light, I remember, with lenses, but nowadays with the LEDs and the low voltage stuff, I think there was also a period where you saw a lot of halogen lighting.
Okay.
But I think now it's all LED, and they can put out real high output, you know, high lumen output lights and make all sorts of fancy colors, and they bury the things down below the seawall, at the bottom of the seawall.
Yeah.
I can remember changing light bulbs in some of the docks, you know, change the light profile, or maybe just lift it up a little bit. I can remember doing that in South Creek when Dale and I used to go snook fish all the time.
Did you see any lights that are more productive than others based upon color or type?
Color, not, I can't speak to color, but I know, you know, if you've got a deep light, it's going to mean that the fish are not right up at the surface. Whereas the old lighting, where it was from above on the dock, you know, on a post on the dock, you'd see them a lot more on the surface. The old metal halide lighting was great because it would flood, you know, a stadium with light. But they're expensive to run. Again, LEDs, where it's at nowadays.
So, all right. Well, thank you. Anybody else have anything for Craig this evening? Any questions about the flies? And you're going to post those to the Facebook page?
I'll put them on the Facebook page with what materials are in each one.
Great. Great. I really appreciate it, Craig. And I don't know if everybody knows, but Craig's been instrumental in the development of our online presence with this club. And without his help, I wouldn't be able to be doing this stuff right now either. So I really appreciate everything you do for me and for the club. And thank you for taking time out of your evening to talk about the dock light flies, Craig.
No issue.
All right. Next on the agenda tonight's Brian Boehm. If everybody will give me just a second, I'm going to do a little screen share. And go right here.
Whoa, baby.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to see this tarpon video. These are highlights from trips that I run at night. Thanks for tuning in to see this tarpon video. These are pretty epic highlights from shot from an iPhone that I run at night. There's definitely a limitation to the quality of this video. Some pretty epic no special graphics shot from an iPhone, so it's really raw. So I hope you appreciate the quality of this video. If you have any questions or you're interested in doing a trip like this, you can check me out on my website, quietwatersfishing.com, or you can look in the information below. Thanks.
Woo! Like a freight train.
It really is.
Yes.
Woo!
Beautiful day.
There she goes.
All right. Yeah, those are some pretty good videos there, Brian. That tarpon just snaking in and out of that light's pretty darn special.
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it?
No, not at all. So I'd like everybody to welcome Brian Boehm into the room.
Hey guys.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. We're going to be tying the JT Clouser, which is, in my opinion, probably the best glass minnow.
It's like auto playing.
Yeah.
And how I came across it was my buddy JT.
JT,
JT got
there he is. There's the man.
got a plug.
That's what we call technical difficulties.
Yeah, we should just meet in person eventually again.
That'd be nice. Sure, be nice.
I miss you guys.
But anyway, you know, those are some great videos. I understand you're the second true Floridian to be our featured speaker on these videos.
Definitely not a true Floridian. Well, I guess if you want to call it true.
Absolutely are. You're not from Florida.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah.
So where'd you come from?
I was born in Wisconsin, and then I moved down to Florida and grew up in Bradenton, actually. Okay. And then right around high school age, we moved back up. My family moved back up to Wisconsin again. Yeah. And that's where I stayed until I moved back down.
So was that a lot of fishing for carp and birds up there? Or?
No, Wisconsin's really underrated. There's, I forget how many thousands of miles of wild trout streams in Wisconsin. Wild. There's the driftless region, there's the sand counties, and then like northern Wisconsin has a lot of natural streams for brook trout. And then, of course, muskie and smallmouth and pike. It's a great place to fish. You just can't, fish open water the whole year.
Right.
It freezes over.
So would you rather be fishing here or there?
Here, obviously. That's why I'm here. But I miss smallmouth a lot. And then come October, I really miss muskie fishing quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you take any trips back up there to do
I get an invitation every year. I haven't gone back yet. I'm thinking about it this year. If I don't do it this year, I'll go next. But my buddies, we all we're around the Chicago area is where we all kind of met. And a lot of the guys used to work at Orvis, just really, really good anglers. And one of them, his grandfather bought a place in a state forest before it was a state forest in northern Wisconsin, right up by Lake Superior. And he basically made a hunting lodge for him and his friends, and it got passed down through the family for generations. And so he gets it for a week. So when he got up for a week, we all go there, we chip in, and I mean, this place is amazing. There's just, I forget how many bedrooms there are, but it's right on a river there. I'm not going to say what river it is, because if he sees this video, he might kill me. But they've got wild trout there, but they also have, they're connected to Superior, so they actually have naturalized steelhead. So they stocked steelhead a long time ago, and they have their own strain now, which is pretty cool. They have their own look to them.
Okay. So down here, what's kind of your range?
I go as far as where I'll go.
Yeah.
I go as far south as Charlotte Harbor, and then as far north as lower Tampa Bay, but like Terracea area. I really don't get across the other side of the Skyway. I kind of stay on the west side, and south is where I like to fish.
Was there anything you like to specialize in, or is it just whatever's biting on whatever?
Well, it's just certain times of year, this time of year, fall, as we're getting into fall, this is when I like to go down south to out of Placida area. I just think the backcountry there is incredible, and it fishes really well. The redfish really school up well this time of year down there, which is pretty cool. And it's an immense fishery, and there's a lot of, water that I can get back into that a lot of other people can't. So it's kind of nice. It's private in a way like that. Springtime, I really like lower Tampa Bay. That's kind of where I spend my spring. I just think water's clear, the fish are hungry and they eat. And I mean, in Terrace, there's some cool spots to get back into as well. And then summertime is tarpon, and wintertime, I actually spend a lot of time in fishing Sarasota Bay and Little Sarasota Bay, which is like right up my back door. So I spend a lot of time in Little Sarasota Bay in wintertime.
What kind of boat do you run?
17-foot Maverick Mirage HP.
Okay. And how many anglers you take out at a time?
Two.
Two?
I mean, 4 is the capacity for passengers.
Yeah.
2, anything more than 2, and you're not really focused on fishing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw you get some redfish on topwater. You want to share any secrets about that right now?
Well, that's conventional tackle. I mean, this morning I got a few snook on gurglers. I'm like a black gurgler, and not too bad size, not huge, but morning topwater has been like really good. For a while, it was like the first 2 hours. This morning, it was like probably about an hour and a half of just really, really good action, and getting out basically as soon as you can see like light in the sky, as soon as it goes from dark. So I'm getting to my spots while it's still dark, and then fishing about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and it's been so good. It's so fun when they hit topwater, man. So fun.
So where are you finding clean water? Any areas, not spots, but areas?
Like you said, clean water? Is that what you said?
Everywhere I've been, it's been kind of nasty.
Like weedy or what? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're talking about like stagnant?
Dirty, stained water.
You know, I'm getting back up in creek mouths and things like that. I fish a lot. A lot of what I fish down there, like when I think of it as like a flowage. So I like look at the tides, and you know, I'm looking at like an entire piece of the fishery at a time as a flowage with the tide or with the wind, and that's kind of how I approach it. And so if you're thinking about where things are going to get pushed with the tide or where things are going to get blown with the wind, and then that's usually, I mean, those are the A spots. That's what I kind of think of the A spots. I mean, of course, there's going to be those spots that big fish will sit that you wouldn't expect them to, but those A spots are the ones you want to fish.
Okay. Well, you know, when you and I talked, we were talking about doing night tarpon, night snook, that type of presentation. What can you tell us about that fishery right now?
I think, in my opinion, like August and September are probably my favorite months to fish at night for big snook and for tarpon on dock lights. That's like dock light fishing. Okay. August and September, for some reason, I don't know if it's just that's when I'm doing best for those fish, but I mean, we're finding really big snook. We're getting really big snook to eat. And then the tarpon, I mean, the tarpon were around before August, but it just seems like they really bunch up in spots. And once you figure out where they're at, they're going to be consistently there until the water starts cooling. And it's just about, you know, once you know where they are, it's just about getting dialed in and understanding, like, you know, how you need to feed them, I guess.
So you think the snook are coming back in off the beaches and just kind of stopping for the buffet type?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I approach dock lights, it doesn't always work out this way, is I try to find as much current as possible, because if I can find as much current as possible, that's going to make my night so much easier. Right. The fish will just stack up and they'll just be looking into the current for bait, and it gives them less of a chance to actually see the fly. So that's kind of how I approach it. So that's where I'm spending my time, near the ICW, near where I'm actually getting good current.
Okay. Well, that's the meat of my questions I had. Anybody else have something they'd like to ask Brian about his fisheries?
I can show you some flies too for dock lights if you want.
Absolutely.
I can show you what's if I've got them. So for like wintertime, and Craig, I thought that was really cool, those flies, the string bean, is that what it was called? I think it was. It's just, there was no YouTube around when that was tied, you know, it's this guy's just kind of going off and just tying a fly that works. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Captain Roy String developed that one.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. So this is, can you guys see this? This is like a size 6, I believe. This is a Gamakatsu. This is a winter pattern. I throw something like this in the winter. You're not going to get many takes on something this small in the winter. It looks, I mean, I don't know if you can really tell on this video. I'm looking at this at my screen, but that's really tiny. It's just, if you look at it, it's really just crystal flash, a little bit of gray Congo hair, and then the crystal flash is wrapped up to some eyes, some bead chain eyes. Super simple, ties really fast, and in the wintertime, really, really good. For like what I've been doing really well on this summer right now for big snook and tarpon and current is a really big EP fly, and I have a feeling, Craig, that I'm not tying these the way you do, so don't yell at me.
Oh, everybody's individual.
Yeah, so I tie these a certain way, actually. This is basically, I mean, the stripes are gone, but this thing's been eaten many times, and this is on a really big, heavy hook. I think this is like a 2/0 or a 3/0. I can't remember which one this one is. I want it on a big, heavy hook because I want it to kind of wobble when it's being retrieved, and I tie these so that the tail is really thin and sparse, and then you get to the head, and it's really thick. I mean, it's very dense. And so when we're fishing some of these bigger snook, I mean, we've lost fish over 40 inches. We have not got them to the boat this year. But when we're fishing those fish, what they do is they actually come and feed like a tarpon. So they get behind this fly and they're looking at it as it's wobbling, and they'll actually nose it. So I like to have it so that if there's a fish behind this fly, it actually looks like the profile of a bait fish, which is also why if you look at the eyes, they kind of pop out a little bit. I don't know if you can tell. Can you guys see that or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my best flies right now, I'd say, going this time of year for big snook and tarpon at dock lights. And then the standby, this works all year round. The JT Clouser, this guy right here, it's just really simple. There's nothing to it. I don't use deer hair because I can't use natural materials. I'll be tying flies all day. They just get destroyed too soon. So I use as many synthetic materials as I can. White bottom, gray top, and then just a bunch of, I think it's pink UV crystal flash over the top. And you can tie these in 3 minutes and it's done. So it's not a big deal, but it's definitely a pattern that works all year round, which I like. It looks like a lot of different things too. It can be a glass minnow or it can be a shrimp.
Cool. So what level of the water depth do you see the best action this time of year on the light?
The top foot, probably.
Okay.
The top foot. Yeah, I mean, like a foot down, sometimes a little bit lower, but excuse me, where I've been fishing, I mean, it's just fish are looking into the current, and our biggest challenge is delivering the fly at the right angle so that they have enough time to see it as it gets by, and they have enough time to pounce on it or chase it or whatever they're going to do. That angle changes throughout the night and changes on a night-to-night basis, especially with the bigger fish. They just really want it a certain way.
So the bigger fish are up in the column right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They will, yes. If there's food there, absolutely. They've got their spots. And a lot of these big fish that we're fishing are, they're tight to structure. So we're trying to get them to come out from, behind a piling. We know they're there. You can see them there. They're not wasting energy. They're just waiting for something big to sweep through. They can kind of go out and eat and then get back behind that break.
So there's been a lot of bait I've seen that are, I guess they're greenbacks or something along those lines. Is that kind of the profile or the size you're looking at right now?
Yeah. I honestly try to throw, if I'm throwing for bigger fish, I try to throw a really big profile because it shows up better. I mean, like a pinfish, it flies what I've been throwing a lot. That profile works really well for me. And I'd say this, like those EP flies at night work better on a two-handed retrieve.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something I wouldn't forget if I was you guys.
So pretty fast.
Well, it's not even so much fast. It's they don't like that pause sometimes. Sometimes the big fish don't like the pause. They can't track it. So
continuous motion now.
Yeah, it depends. It's not every night, but that's something you should definitely want in your arsenal.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions for Brian?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Good. Hey, I got two questions. One, because you're fishing areas where you might be looking at snook and tarpon in the same basic water, what size tippet do you typically use? And then the second thing, you mentioned angles. Could you talk about how you would set up on a light as far as whether you want to be at a perpendicular to the line of the current where the fish are holding, or being above and doing a swing with the current, or going down below and throwing up so that the fly is coming, directly down, but potentially lining the fish. How would you set that up?
For as far as what type of like bite guard I use, if I'm throwing where I know there's big fish and I'm throwing these big EP patterns, which they take me way too long to tie, and so I've got some time invested, I don't want to lose them, I'll throw a 40-pound bite guard on them at the very least. Sometimes I'll go 60 if there's some really big fish around, and about a 12-inch length. Sometimes we'll go down to 8 if I think they're going to be nervous, but usually when you get a big profile fly coming through, they don't care too much about the bite guard.
Fluoro or mono?
What's that?
Fluoro or mono?
Fluoro. I use fluoro, yeah. And then I usually try to, if I've got 40 on, I'll just blood knot that to 25 and then up to the rest of my taper on my leader. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and then as far as like setup, I don't really ever fish below lights. I really like swinging stuff down to fish as much as I can. So I try to get above lights, but if that's not the angle, I'll be like right, in line with the light. But usually I can find, or we can find the right angle by being above the light, especially if you're in current. And there are some nights where we can literally get the right angle and swing the fly down to the fish. And there's probably, whether it's 30 or 50 fish that are all, sometimes it's more, that are just all facing into the current. You can literally just hang your fly and just kind of inch it down towards their face, and one of them's going to come and poke it.
So, Brian, I've noticed that you do some writing as well.
I do some writing. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I've noticed your musings. They're very interesting. If folks haven't seen those, check Brian's website out.
Well, it depends which ones you read, right?
Well,
I've got some
really good
writing.
I don't know. You bringing your wife in there to write them for you, or you
No.
doing that yourself?
No. I used to do a lot of technical writing. I did environmental consulting for 10 years, and I did 100-page reports. So writing comes like pretty easy to me.
Yeah.
So I've got different articles in my blog. Some are more for like information for people who want to learn certain things. And also for me, my benefit is that I get SEO, and then people can find me when they come to fish here and they search, redfish guide or whatever, then I pop up and I can get a client that way. So I can give some information and I can get a benefit. And then there's other articles that really, the only benefit is just that I just write them and that's it. But I don't know which ones you're talking about, but yes, some of them are.
Well, I think
entertaining.
Was it the Death Flat or something along those lines?
Oh, yeah, that one's.
That's a great read. If anybody's got any time, go read that. It's a quick read, but it's really interesting.
That was a fun one to write, and I think I wrote that one like so quick. The good ones usually just write themselves, but I just kind of like whenever I get you kind of feel like you got to get something out, and you kind of know it, just get in front of the computer and spit it out, and if it's good, it comes out really quick. The SEO ones are laborious, and they take me days. I mean, I literally spend days on those to get those right. And
20 words,
the ones that are fun to read, those will just come out, they're just out. So I'm glad someone else is enjoying them.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about submitting them to any of the journals or anything like that?
I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah.
No. You think that one's good enough?
Oh, I think that one would work for sure. Somebody pick that up.
Yeah, that one's good. There's a couple other good ones. There's just some, like, from when I first wrote, like when I first started opening up a guide business and I was trying to grow a business, like there's some that just clearly, like, you can just totally see the grind and the struggle reflected in the writing. So I kind of like that's still there. That's kind of like shows where I was and where I am now and where I want to get. Yeah, exactly. In a different way, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Got a number of questions and comments for Brian and just the Zoom meeting in general.
Fire away.
I think this thing is great. And I last minute invited some members of the club up in Ocala, Bob and Larry Nazzaro's club, and also some friends, but I see they didn't make it. So I do think we should invite other people, other fishermen, because, it's good knowledge that they're getting and it's just building the sport. I fished with Brian quite a bit as, friendly fishing and also him guiding me and Jim Cannon and my brother and stuff. And he taught me some things that I didn't know about lights. One was when the snook are active, kind of wait till they're feeding. Don't sit there like Nick and I will just bomb cast after cast after cast, and we end up putting them down. And he's like, wait till they're feeding, then throw it in there, be patient. So I never did that. I thought that was a great thing. The other thing was the tarpon. We just talked about this the other day. The baby tarpon, they don't sit in a light like a snook. They kind of come through and then come through. And he mentioned just, when they're doing that activity, throw it in there, let it sink, and just wait for him to come to when you see him start stripping, which I thought was great.
That's true. Yeah. I try to throw like that first video where you can see that tarpon kind of going through. I think we threw the left side in that one, but generally speaking, if there's a tarpon, that they are always moving on lights, right, JT? And it's kind of, you can totally overwhelm yourself trying to figure out where to lead this fish. So try to make it simple. And if he's coming across a certain area multiple times, well, then just cast in that area where he's crossing and just wait for the time when he's coming and then pop it through as he's, intercept him essentially. And that usually works. And
then what do you do with people who are, trout guys that are just starting out? Do you just try to motor up as close as you can to the light so they can get their 15-foot cast?
And that's the other thing. It's like why I'm always looking for high current, or lights around high current, because I can get really close to lights for people who, may not be the strongest casters or just getting into fly fishing, and they get a chance to fight a really big fish, when there's no way they could do it during the day. So I like that a lot about night. And I think that, if we because we get some high number nights too, where we'll do a lot of fish in one night. I like that, people can work their way, like figure out how to strip set. For a lot of people, if they fish trout their whole life or, haven't fished saltwater, the strip set is a bit of a challenge. It's almost like the trout set's like riding a bicycle. You never forget the trout set. But when you're missing snook because you're not strip setting, you learn really quickly. And I like that about that.
I have one follow-up question. This is a day question. I spent the last few months fishing over, when I could find them, rolling tarpon. And some days just left scratching my head, changing flies, depths, strips, everything. Ken and I fished over probably 30 babies one day, one morning. Did not get a take. They were, popping up here, popping up there, popping up there. Do you have any recommendations for what the hell to do in that kind of situation other than shoot?
If like what I look for first is if they're generally headed in one direction, try to get ahead of them if that's possible. But sometimes, I know what you're talking about, JT, like sometimes they're really random there. I just think you got to stay on them and keep delivering it in front of them. But I don't necessarily think that there's any one thing to do. I don't think it's easy, is I guess what I'm saying. Like, it's just some things in fishing are really hard. Sometimes those fish are on. Like, you can throw anything at him, and then all of a sudden, I know a guy, the guy, JT, you met the guy who fishes down here in Marshall, and he's throwing everything at him, and nothing would eat. And then he threw a big spook, a big topwater, conventional tackle, and they just mowed it down right away. So you're never throwing something like that in a fly rod, but, it's completely out of the box. I just think that you do your due diligence, work your way through the thought process of what else can I do. But they're tarpon.
I was thinking today, most of the guides and people who fish tarpon always do that, short tick, 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 tick strip. But when I hooked up the other day, I'd thrown into some risers and I just pulled it through and I saw the fish come after and the fly was moving across pretty good. So I'm starting to think, like as I did in Canada, maybe just a slow, long strip might entice them a little better than that tick, 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 tick thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm mixing in that two-handed retrieve in like everything more often. Like that's one thing, if fish aren't eating and I know they're there, that's one thing I definitely will do 100% of the time is definitely try the two-handed retrieve and give that a shot for at least 10 minutes because like 50% of the time, that's it.
Also, how many people is everyone in the club here that's here tonight? Is there any visitors?
We got one visitor tonight, Ray O'Connell. I believe Ron Pisani invited you, Ray.
Yes, I did.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, he's here.
Ron.
I'm here.
Okay. I didn't know.
Ron, tell us a joke. You got those great one-liners.
Too many to memorize. Hey, I do have a follow-up question about setup again. You were talking about using like 40-pound test, bite tippet. I'm thinking that's summer, summer, late summer, early fall. What about winter months? I've been out under the lights in winter months, just, throwing out 20-pound, Is there any logic to you going to a heavier bite tippet in the winter, early spring months?
I don't, not really. No, I go as light as I can get away with.
Okay.
If there's bigger fish around, I don't go under 25 pounds.
Okay.
Just because
That's what I
at least
thought.
it gives you a shot. But yeah, you're throwing such small flies, and there's not really going to be tarpon around.
No.
So
It might be a big snook, but yeah.
yeah, and we've got some out on 25-pound test. Nothing like, I don't think we ever got one over like 34, 35 inches on 25-pound test, but
Yeah.
occasionally we get something bigger.
Yeah. I usually find the bigger ones are hiding way in the back. Someplace.
They're feeding in the smart spots. Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, Craig has an extended background in the fisheries that he didn't mention. He was a wildlife officer. I found this at a concert. He's got all kinds of old stories about his career, which I find interesting. Maybe Len, you could profile him. Would be good.
I'd like to know more about Craig. I think that's fascinating too, JT.
Also, Len, what kind of dubbing do you get from that cat that was walking behind you? And Bob, were you listening when he was talking about fishing over rolling tarpon and not getting a hit?
I just unmuted.
He's muted.
All my fly tying stuff is in Florida, so I'll clip her before I go down next month and bring some fur with me.
If anybody needs any, I had plenty of cat hair.
Well,
Stray cats?
That's
Take
interesting.
some of that Fu Manchu also.
Not on your life.
Yeah. Craig, are you still living in the same place the Tuesday night?
No, I moved.
Okay.
I'm in a new digs.
AC, it's nice.
AC in the garage, man. How about that?
Wow.
Not a bug bite one.
Does
Yeah,
anyone have anything for the newsletter while I'm here? I'm going to put in a stand and fish kayak pontoon set that I'm just trying to give away. And
yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
if anybody wants that, it's pretty slick, but a little old school technology for kayaks. You'll see it in the newsletter.
Oh, I'd like to go back to Brian for one last question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bob.
I was going to ask you, I don't think you have an electric motor on your boat anymore or ever, but what about electric motors anchoring near a dock?
I do have a trolling motor. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought about going away from it. I can't. And I think that using it to like spot lock, is that what you're talking about?
right.
I think as long as if you've got strong current, that's going to muffle the sound of any trolling motor. No problem at all. I've gotten within 10 feet of a bunch of fish on a high setting in my boat before. So if you're in an area where it's like you get to some of those like baby tarpon spots in the summertime where it's like really backwater, gross, stagnant, all that sound travels so quickly. So I guess it really depends on the situation. I don't really think about it much when there's a lot of current because I know that that's getting muffled and distorted and they can't hear it. But if it's really quiet, I don't want to fish there in the first place. But if I have to fish there, then I'll be really careful and I'd use an anchor instead.
We've tried it both ways, and I don't know if it makes any difference, but
sometimes those babies, they roll 2 feet from my kayak and I can't even get a cast in. It's just like, you idiots, what are you doing? And it's been a maddening summer trying to fish those fish.
yeah, by the way, how many did you catch this summer? And how many hours did you put in?
Did I land or hook?
On babies?
How many did I land?
Yeah.
Well, by Ken's count, including pinfish, 197.
JT goes low.
I think I landed just that one with Logan. Or did we land in the Peace River? No, that was Jim.
Are you keeping a log, JT?
What's that?
Are you keeping a log?
No.
You should be keeping a log. Why are you not keeping a log?
I can't, I've got a list of things to do. I have to worry about that. But Jim Cannon, was a freshwater guy, he's here somewhere. He has become the freaking baby tarpon whisperer. I don't know what he's doing, but every time I go with him, he hooks up. He hooked up that night we went on the bridge and whatever. He's just got a lucky hand, and he's talented.
He's a fishy guy.
He's still here, do we?
He's here.
Yeah, Jim's there. Jim, you're muted.
He might not want to talk.
If you want to respond back to JT, unmute yourself.
He can't hear you. There's a button that you got to hit.
Bottom left.
Okay.
There you go.
There he is.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
hi,
think
Jim.
we're supposed to all be muted or muted. So
Did
yeah,
you-
it's been fun. I love the tarpon. They're just so new to me. And I had the best day I've ever had a couple days ago, and went back today and saw one fish, and the other day I probably saw 30. And the other day I could not miss. I mean, I was trolling my fly down a little mangrove channel, and I hooked up, not even just trolling my fly. And that was just a rare kind of thing, but it just seemed like they were feeding and they wanted to eat. And today was like, where the heck are they?
Well, he mentioned they stay in the same area for a lot, but he also mentioned to me, you got to look, you got to keep moving around and find them, because they really, sometimes they'll set up an area and sometimes they'll move, a few flats over in the deeper water. And now that I got my trolling motor, I'm going to chase them down. But
yeah,
the funny story is from the other day, I got a new trolling motor and I took it out to test ride it. And I brought one fly rod and a couple of flies. I had no net, no pedals, just an oar, and it was blowing like the bejesus. And of course, tarpon show up like right at the wrong time. And I fished them for a while. I finally got this one really nice, like 25-pounder to hit. And I had them on. I kept getting blown into this sailboat and the lines. I'd hit the trolling motor. It would go like 20 feet, real fast. So I didn't know how to feather it. A lot of slack. It was like all the wrong things would happen. And then finally I get out about 20 minutes later, past the sailboat. I got this big fish on, no net or nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to get this sucker in. And he went down. I had the line into the guides. And then he made an underwater run, came out sideways, and JT Clouser in my face. So that's kind of how the years went. Fish story.
You got a lot of them this year.
Yeah, you landed quite a few fish, Robert.
Yeah, you had a few on my boat.
I didn't land any on your boat.
You had a few stories.
Oh, yeah.
JT always has a story when he goes out fishing with somebody, right?
Usually I step on the line with the best pompano of the year.
Henry, you got a question? Where are you at?
Who was that?
Henry raised his hand there. Oh, you just pressed his button. You're muted right now, brother.
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
While we're waiting for Henry, if he does have a question, you were talking obviously about some big snook under lights. Do you typically find the big snook down deep or possibly holding in the shadow line more so than being active on the light itself?
That's a good question. It varies, I think. There's definitely times like that they are near the surface, and they've been near the surface very recently. But with that said, there's been times where I suspect they're there, and we may like cast intentionally further up tide so we can get our swing down further, and we'll get bigger fish that you don't even know, you can't see that they're there, but they are there in certain areas. So if you have, I mean, it just varies, I think. But I just, if I suspect that they're there, then we're definitely going to at least probe. So if you think there's a chance they're there, you might as well look, get one down further. And there's a couple lights, I mean, where I think the smallest fish, I mean, there's probably one light in particular, it's not always on, but there were probably 100 fish on this light. And I'm not joking when I say the smallest fish was probably like 27, 28 inches. And there were multiple fish over, I mean, when I'm saying multiple fish, I'm talking about like over 20 fish that were over 40 inches on this one light. And this is the one we broke off so many times. And actually, I was with Larry, who was in our fly club. And we had a heck of a time figuring out how to get those fish to eat that night. Once we got them to eat, we were seeing those bigger fish, the really big ones, some that we didn't even know were there. Just all of a sudden they'd emerge, from the darkness up to look at that pinfish fly. So.
Another
Thank
thing
you.
Brian
Thank you.
taught me one night, Ken, is when we were stripping fast and the fish weren't really taking the fly, he put on some sort of marabou thing that just kind of wavers in the current and just slow stripped it through and immediately got eaten. So, he changes it up.
Oh yeah. That's like I'll just sometimes throw that like if almost like if it was like a wacky rig. So you just cast it and let it sink and let the current. If there's not a lot of current there, that's when I'll do it. I know there's fish. I'll just let it sink through the water column to the bottom. If we're trying to get a fish or something, we need a fish.
One thing you don't want to do is throw it at an inkfish.
Absolutely not.
Disgusting waving thing. It's got this little fin in the air, and then you hook it. It's like hooking a ball of goo. Disgusting.
Yeah, it comes off the boat really well though. It wasn't hard to clean up at all.
Hey, I was wondering if anybody has caught any tarpons around the Manatee River bridges that are there. Has anybody caught any?
I couldn't answer that.
Ken got a snook under one of the bridges.
Oh, man. Okay.
I got a snook today, JT, over in Terracea by the little islands where you showed me.
Jim brought me a couple of redfish schools.
Yeah.
Those things, they just move pretty quickly. They don't just, he had them tailing, but whenever I see them, they're just there and gone. It's hard to get them. Remember what a redfish looks like, right? Tony, what have you been fishing? You gotta unmute yourself. There you go.
I haven't fished a whole lot. I've been busy, but we went over to Ida on Labor Day. It was the last time I went fishing. Got some peacock.
They're pretty good right now.
Yeah, we did really good on peacocks and caught one clown knife.
What fly do you use on that gator behind you?
Oh,
that a salamander?
Yeah, that was a harpoon.
Did you have any size to those peacocks?
We caught 5 that were 3 pounds or over.
That's all right. That's all right.
And the clown knife was pretty decent size.
I used to have one of those in a tank.
I know. We sell them at my shop.
That one's on my bucket list, Tony.
I haven't caught one. My nephew caught it, but man, that was the only fish I wanted to catch was one of those there, and I didn't get one. But
I also want a snakehead.
yeah, that's on my list too. We're gonna go back again soon here because we were kind of figuring it out. We did pretty good, but
I saw somebody posted a clownfish and then cooked it up. Made fritters out of it or something.
Hey, I'll try it.
Sounds like a yummy.
I guess we have tentative dates too for Alligator Alley next year. With COVID accepted. So that's going to be in the newsletter unless Ken vetoes it.
No. Len, I think you're going to take the ball, run with the the ball this year again. And no, we talked about the last board meeting. We definitely want to have that trip. Hopefully by February, we'll be able to have a shot to be able to deal with the COVID or whatever, get immunized. So we'll see.
Well, you know,
But Len, you're going to be setting the dates.
yeah, at the board meeting was suggested.
Go ahead.
I think Al suggested we put something in the October newsletter. So Jay and I have been chatting a little bit about the text, but I think we'll put something in that says tentative, save the date. And I think it was February 16th and 17th, which would be comparable to last year. And I think I'm going to put my number and email in case people want to, you know, chat about it. But we'd like to at least put it out there that we're thinking about it, and we'll be in touch.
I'm going to reserve Westwall guy for those dates. And then I'm going to sell him off to the highest bidder.
I mean, comments, anybody, you know, do people think would they like to do that? I certainly would. And I think we can do it safely. We'll have to make a comment, you know, changes, but, you know, we're all out fishing kind of by ourselves. So,
yeah, it might not be 50 guys, but you could get a quorum. By the way, I'd like to thank Mr. Craig and Mr. Brian for taking the time to entertain us tonight, and Ethan for hosting. You guys
Ethan.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're kind of coming to the end of this evening. Is there anything else anybody else would like to put out there?
Have fun on the keys, Ethan.
I'll try.
Hope you stick one good.
I will.
When are you going, Ethan?
Huh?
When are you going?
I'm here. Actually, I'm in Hollywood right now.
Oh.
Do you are you have your kayaks?
No, there's this guy that I go to church with knows a guy that has a house on Summerland.
Yeah, that's where remote is.
He's got a bunch
remote
of
is, yeah.
kayaks and boats, and we're going to go down there and see what we can get into.
We had a pretty good guide who actually tows you around with his torpedo motor and knows the area real well. And he says it's been fishing really good.
Well, maybe we'll be so lucky. We'll see.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
headlines.
Yes.
What's the address of that house, Brian? I mean,
I don't know. They won't tell me. They're not telling me till tomorrow. Don't want me showing up too early. But anyway, yeah, I'd really like to thank Brian and Craig for taking time out to do this evening. And
My pleasure.
Thank you.
any of the guys, if you're getting out there fishing, send me pictures. Enter this contest we've got. We're still giving away $100 a month in gift certificates to the local fly shop. So
Okay.
get out there and if you can, book Brian for a trip or buy some of Craig's flies. They support our club immensely, and it'd be a big help to them, I know right now.
Yeah.
So if you want to get out on the water, I know Brian's going out pretty much every day, aren't you?
Just about, yeah.
So,
Just about. I got a trip tomorrow, so.
Brian, my dance is open, but it's Epic Babies. Just bring me up on there.
yeah. Give him a call when JT will give him a day off.
Will do. Glad to see you guys. We'll
Yeah,
see
good
you
to see
next
everybody.
month.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Okay, thank you.